This morning we're headed up the Rio Caliente Valley, just a few miles south of Ojo Caliente, about 45 minutes north of Santa Fe, and we're going to take a look at some land near the village of Vallecitos. Looks like we're going to have a little snow on the way. It's late February. We've been getting a little bit of precipitation. We anticipate we'll probably get some snow up here in the mountains. We'll take a look in just a little bit. And we're coming into the south end of Ojo Caliente. There's Oliver's store, grocery, gas, anything you need. We'll cruise on up here. Just over the next hill, we'll get into the village proper. This is the home of the hot springs. Got a nice resort here, hot spring pools, accommodations, restaurant, right down on the river. There's the little village itself. Down to the river, take a left here. Motel. Go by the Mesa Vista Cafe up here, and that's Ojo. That's about it. And here comes a car with snow on it, so it shouldn't be long, and see a little moisture coming down. Get back in a bit. Now we're a few miles north on Highway 111. We're just coming into the village of La Madera. La Madera sits at the confluence of the Tusas River, the Rio Tusas, and the Rio Vallecitos, and they form the Rio Ojo Caliente. This village, La Madera, which means lumber, was a center of the logging industry in the late 19th century, and apparently there were about 4,000 people living here in 1900. There was a railroad that came in and a fair amount of business, and as you can see now, there's not a lot left. We got a few farmer and ranchers and some folks that probably commute to Los Alamos or Santa Fe or Espanola for work, because there's really not much going on up here. And we're about 10 miles from the property we want to look at. We're getting ready to start gaining a little altitude. We've got a light, very light snow coming down. It looks like it's going to get heavier as we go north. So we'll come back when we get up a little higher. Up here on the horizon, if you can kind of see off to the right, there's a high plateau. That's a ranch we sold last year, 806 acres. Beautiful, beautiful country. Some great canyons in there, a lot of elk, a lot of deer. That whole ridge line you see in front of us is part of the ranch. So here we go up the lower valleys up to the higher valleys. You can see it's changing weather conditions pretty dramatically. Here comes our snowplow. Excellent. This is where we hit the Ponderosa pine forest. The Rio Vallecitos is off to our left, Harita Mesa to the right, and won't be too long and we'll be up to the lower end of the Vallecitos Valley. It's starting to come down pretty good. So here we are. Take a look at the property. We got ourselves a pretty good snowstorm coming down. We're right on Highway 111 at the northeast corner of the property is a corral, and then we come back across. We've got an old adobe that's just about ready to completely collapse, and then due to the west is the property. So we're gonna get down through the gate here and take a little hike down towards the other end of the property. You see, our preferred mode of transportation here is snowshoes. Makes for a great way to get around this time of year. We're down here standing on the upper acequia. There's two acequias on the property, one on the east end and one on the west end. The west end takes water further down the valley. Doesn't service this because it's on the other side of the river. All the land you're looking at out here are hay fields, and they're serviced by the acequia, which we're looking at right now. This is just below the old adobe on the hill. Now we've come to the bosque on the west end of the property. This bosque here is formed by all the water that runs off from the irrigation. It forms in kind of a not really swampy area, but wet area. And further on down is the Rio Vallecitos. And here we are at the Rio Vallecitos. Just looks kind of like a snow-covered highway right now. But we can see maybe the first start of spring. We've got a little tiny bit of open water here. And then up the other side, this property runs all the way back to the base of the hills there. Got a few ponderosa pine. Then on back down the river bosque. We're back to the edge of the bosque, looking due north, and then following the north fence line of the property. All the way back up. Lower pasture, upper pasture, the ridge, and behind the trees are the old house, and back across to the south line. And it's interesting, there's power all the way down to here. We're back up about 2/3 of the way to the road. There's a small scrub oak forest here. So it's kind of pretty with the snow blowing from the south to the north. And here, look up the valley. Down to the other end of the property. Up the side of the mountain. And back to the highway. So we've completed our tour. One quick go around here. The old house, down to the mountain. This is how fast the weather changes up here. This is the road that we came up an hour ago. It was clear, no snow. It's right where we're at the point where we broke into the ponderosa forest. And here we are an hour later, and you can see the difference. So it's time to head back to Santa Fe.